So, which teams are going to punch their way to the 2023 NFL playoffs? Which head coaches are most likely to get the pink slip after this Sunday? And which one of our fantasy players has rung in the new year with a league championship? We're going to answer the questions, and we'll try to answer more questions as we get you ready for the final week of the regular season, week 18, and in some cases, championship week for some fantasy players out there. We're going to cover all that from top to bottom tonight on Fantasy Football Fever, which starts right now. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. And I should say Happy New Year because this is the first show of 2024. And specifically, it's January 5th, 2024. It's a Friday night. Great to have you all here. Hopefully, y'all know that we're on Friday nights from now. So great to have you here no matter where you're watching, how you're watching, whenever you're watching. Thanks for joining us. It's Tim McClellan here, along with Mr. John Flynn over here.
Hey, hey, hey. Happy New Year.
And Mr. John Natalia, our league commissioner down here.
Oh.
So you guys did anything special for New Year's?
Nope. I didn't go out.
Not too much. Just all I really did between New Year's and yesterday was redeem some rewards I had. But other than that, pretty good.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I was thinking about going to this bar where I do karaoke, but I thought, well, no, I think I'm just gonna hang out with a couple of friends of mine. So that's what we did. We just had a few drinks and had a good time. We watched that movie, The Iron Claw. For fans of classic wrestling, that is a must-see movie. I really like it. So this is the final week of the regular season in the NFL.
Yeah.
For most of you fantasy players out there, this will be your championship week. We had our championship week this past week. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. And I've got a pretty good tough trivia question, which, well, I'm kind of starting to think it might be kind of easy for these guys. Might not be, but we'll just see what happens. But we are going to get started with some hot topics around the NFL. John Flynn, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so week 18 of the NFL, we got some monster games with playoff implications, and so we can piggyback across a lot of different things, a lot of different circumstances across the NFL, but we'll do that in just in a little bit, but. I think it would be best for us because this is a fantasy football show after all to discuss some of the big performances we had from for most of you on championship week in fantasy football. So I will get those up in a second, but there was some outstanding performances from the quarterbacks this week. And I think we got to start with my guy Lamar Jackson. 321 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. He registered 36.3 fantasy points. Jordan Love had 4 total touchdowns against Minnesota on Sunday night. 256 yards passing. 28.4 points. You also had your top 5 rounded out with Justin Fields, who had a couple of touchdowns against the Falcons. Kyler Murray, who went off against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles gave up 449 total yards of offense, which helped him, which helped James Conner, and And rounding out the top 5 was Joe Flacco of the Cleveland Browns, 309 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, and almost all the damage was done in the first half.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yes. So what did you guys make of some of these performances? And I think we all did you guys all watch Joe Flacco on Thursday night against the Jets?
That one I did not see. I saw the Lamar Jackson one. That was big. I did not expect him to
And
overachieve like that.
yeah,
But he wasn't the one who stood out to me.
it-
Oddly enough, the one that stood out to me was Kyron Williams. He had 3 touchdowns.
So he very indeed had 3 touchdowns against the New York Football Giants, and I believe he was the highest scoring player among all fantasy running backs from last week.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good to see from a Rams perspective, because they only won by 1 point against the Giants. So that might tell you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really think he had like a less than 60% chance of making it based on based on prior circumstances? So
I thought he still had it in him. Maybe not. Maybe he might be. Maybe he's really done now. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't think.
I mean,
Joe,
he did.
Yeah, I didn't think that Joe Flacco
I mean, he
would
did
have
make
such
it.
a big resurgence. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
but I mean, it does help when you have a good offensive line. It does help when you have a good offensive line to protect him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, Lamar Jackson, fantasy stud pretty much all the way. I'd say so far. Yeah, Lamar Jackson really helped those Ravens lock up that number 1 seed in the AFC. So what we got coming up on the screen here?
Yep. So these were the top running back performances for Week 17 championship week. In the NFL. Of course, it's Kyron Williams. Isaiah Pacheco have helped big time in PPR. So did Breece Hall, who had another big showing in the PPR, because Breece Hall had 12 catches against Washington in Week 16, and he followed it up with a 9-catch performance in Week 17. So giving PPR players a lot of free points with that. James Conner, a couple of total touchdowns. Jerome Ford, a couple of touchdowns. Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, a couple of touchdowns. So it was really a good week for some of them. But if you look at rosters, I mean, look at some of the top. It was pretty bad at the top.
Saquon Barkley only getting 39 yards from 12 carries.
Yeah, three catches. Austin Eckler only had and of course Austin Eckler had the fumble in his game, so that didn't help.
He's my fantasy dud for the season.
I think Patrick Mahomes is for me, because
really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because Mahomes has been the at best a top 8, top 9, top 10 quarterback, which and he's usually the first quarterback taken.
Oh yeah, I see my fantasy stud. My fantasy dud on this screen here. Only 16 carries for a total of 49 yards. I mean, this has been a total down year for Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I think you were expecting with how the Cowboys constructed their roster this offseason, you figured that that it was going to take pressure off of Tony Pollard, but no, I thought the Lions did a great job holding him in check, and and that's why I think the Vikings running backs have a really bad matchup against the Lions coming up on Sunday. So
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry has been wobbly all year. Jahmyr Gibbs has been up and down all year. He did get hurt at one point. David Montgomery got the goal to go carries this week, in the Dallas game, but overall, there was some pretty disappointing running backs this season, and we'll look at all those in a moment. But the best wide receiver performance, there were some good ones, but number one on top of the list was CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys, who right now would be number 2 or number 3 on my list for offensive player of the year in the NFL.
Oh yeah, CeeDee Lamb this is probably his best year of his young career, and I think his stock can only go higher from here on out.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb already has 1,600 yards receiving for the season.
1,600.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had CeeDee Lamb in my other league, but I was already knocked out of the playoffs before I was able to play him and cash in 40 points in the championship. So very disappointing for CeeDee Lamb. But I mean, I couldn't get it done with him. But Davante Adams, I mean, did you see the number of targets for Davante Adams?
21 targets and 13 receptions.
Yeah, I mean, good golly. Let's see, DJ Moore, 9 catches, under 59 yards. Jaden Reed had a couple of touchdowns. Jordan Love was dynamite on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, you had a couple of Giants finish in the top 10 last week. Darius Slayton had a big game. Wan'Dale Robinson finally had a big game. So that was exciting to see. Each of them had a touchdown. But if you look at the disappointments at the wide receiver position in the championship, some include Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs had like a string of 100-yard receiving games early on in the season, but he has been proven been invisible. Same thing with Jamar Chase. I mean, didn't Jamar Chase have to leave the game early in the
I believe he did.
Yes, I think that's why Chris Olave was a dud, even though the Saints demolished the Buccaneers on the road on last week. That kept the Saints in the playoff discussion.
Yeah.
But that T. Higgins only had 1 catch.
Wow.
Jordan Addison, who I thought was going to go off this week, only had 3 catches for 28 yards. So that was very disappointing on that level. But so as we look at the tight ends, Jawan Johnson, Isaiah Likely, and David Njoku has come alive of late. Travis Kelce disappointed. George Kittle George Kittle didn't have to do much. Really, that might be what I'll say for that. And Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts, and he turned into a double. But I think if you're looking at some playoffs MVPs, so we could look at the last 3 weeks, and you can look at David Njoku as the tight end MVP. Because he's averaged 20 points a game.
Oh yeah.
And you got Jawan Johnson, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, but wide receiver MVP, obviously you got CeeDee Lamb. And you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Amari Cooper, George Pickens came alive during fantasy playoffs this season. obviously Christian McCaffrey and Breece Hall came on strong at the end because of all the catches he had. But so Breece Hall saved you if you were in a PPR league, or PPR saved you when it came to Breece Hall. And then the MVP, obviously Lamar Jackson, who might be the NFL MVP himself, when it's all said and done here. So I think that's
Joe
great.
Flacco could possibly be a dark horse for comeback player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I know it might actually be a 2-horse race between him and DeMar Hamlin. And it's been more than a year now since the DeMar Hamlin.
The only problem with that, the way I look at comeback player of the year, you have to actually play. That's the way I look at it. Hamlin only has this season 1 tackle. That's it. So I don't think he's eligible. I think you have to physically have the aspect of playing.
But I think the voters. I mean, because it was such one of the big stories in all of news, not just entertainment, politics, and weather. So, but for many people, that was the big story. The first week of the year, and like the media was so infatuated. By the way, the media, the Associated Press, votes on the award, but I do see the Joe Flacco and DeMar Hamlin as the top 2 for comeback player of the year.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
So,
but if I were a voter, I would have to pick Flacco because he did the physical aspect of playing.
Right. DeMar Hamlin. I don't think Hamlin really was on the field that much this year.
Barely. He's had one tackle to date this season. And that was I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. He came off the bench. He had, I think, a 4th quarter tackle.
Wow.
And look who's here, Tim.
Well,
what's up, guys?
Look who's here. One of my fellow horsemen, Mr. LC Muscles himself.
What's up, dudes? How you doing?
Not too bad.
We are doing okay. We got Mr. LC Muscles here. Well, I guess as you can see from his little name there.
Description.
The little description there. It kind of gives the thing away.
Yep. So yes, I did win fantasy football championship, man. I beat Beavis Spurs in the championship, and I took home another trophy. Unfortunately, I did not win my other league in Yahoo, but I did win my ESPN one. So I'm very happy to have 10 fantasy football championships. I'm a 10-time fantasy football champion.
There you go.
So
I should mention that this week in my Yahoo league. Oh, I was saying in my Yahoo league, I'm facing Andrew St. Clair in our championship matchup. Let's take a look at how well. Look at all them points up there. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and we were just talking about Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's performance put the icing on the cake on what was a tremendous season in fantasy for Lucas here.
I had a really good draft, man, and I'm glad Lamar Jackson really showed out for me. Puka Nacua was a great pickup earlier in the year. I got him, and I literally did not regret it. And most of my picks that I really had, realistically, were fantastic, pretty much. You had Zamir White, who came in as a backup for the past couple of games. James Conner, underrated, man, especially a former Pittsburgh Steeler. And overall, I had some great picks. The only one that realistically was a big disappointment in my Yahoo league was Travis Kelce. He cost me a championship. But overall, though, I had a really good year, though. And then Mark Andrews getting hurt, getting likely right away.
Yeah, that was very smart move by you, and I knew I wasn't, and I knew I wanted Isaiah Likely, but I chose not to because I had Travis Kelce. So I think I don't think so, and because I had it was a surplus of wide receivers on the on my rosters. I didn't have any use for him, but it was good. It was a good use for somebody who who needed a tight end, and Isaiah Likely came a monster in the championships and in the fantasy playoffs and down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, I have to say that Isaiah Likely is probably one of the best young tight ends in the league right now. He's I can see him becoming a really big star in the next year or so.
Puka Nacua is probably going to be the next big wide receiver.
Oh yeah, agreed, 100%, 100%. He has done so well for those Rams this year. Yeah, his stock will be rising in the
Wasn't
next
he
year.
undrafted, if I'm not mistaken?
Sam, Nacua was a 5th round pick by the Rams, and last year, and the Rams had a 5th round pick last year too, and that pick was Kyren Williams.
Oh,
dude! So the 5th round has been really paying off for the Rams, and Kyren Williams, though, another really good pickup though for on my other fantasy league. But still, overall though, I think I had a really solid year, and I'm glad that Team America won the championship.
Yeah, and I was excited that Nacua has success because I love Nacua coming out of Notre Dame. So because the college team I root for is Notre Dame, and Kyle Williams was so instrumental in getting getting Notre Dame to the college football playoff 3 years ago. So
yeah, so
yeah, I dominated the championship too. It was pretty much over by 1 o'clock. Like by 3 o'clock, the championship was over.
Yeah,
It's crazy to think about how I locked it up, man.
Yeah, in my other league, every single one of my matchups was decided but before after the 1 o'clock games, basically.
wow, amazing. No, those are the numbers that LC put up with his roster right there. The winning roster.
Yeah, and I also and I also want to make sure we compare and contrast what Lucas had to what Dino had because it was a blowout 175.84 to 112.48 and Dino's strategy to victory never took off. And so he didn't have the monster performance from somebody he was looking for. I mean, earlier in the show we talked about Derrick Henry being a dud this week, George Kittle being a dud this week. So those were disappointing for him, but.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what kind of statistics their bench players had. I don't have them on my screen here.
Yeah, I have them here. You see them?
Okay. Oh yeah, we got Baker Mayfield 20.26 left on the table.
Yeah, Jaden Reed.
Ooh. Oh, that had to hurt. 26.9 left on the table there.
Yeah, but I think the thing was even if Dino pushed all the right buttons, it still would not have been enough to overcome Lamar Jackson and James Conner and Puka Nacua and Isaiah Likely. So
right.
So Tim, I think with that in mind, and with Lucas here, do you want to share the graphic you guys created?
Yeah, let's go ahead and share that right now. I guess we'll have our commissioner make the proclamation.
All right, so take it away.
All right. Yeah, with that being said, yeah, folks, this actually with this being week 18, this brings the fantasy football season to a close. But that does not mean we are done yet.
No.
We will guide you through We won't talk about it yet, but eventually we will. You know where I'm going with this, Tim.
Oh yes, I think I know where we're going. You know where we're going, Flynn?
Yeah.
We're going there. We're gonna get there soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't worry, we'll guide you through there. And those of you folks who are playing Week 18 games, you guys are freaks, but we still love you just the same. But with that being said, from myself and everybody else, Lucas, congratulations on winning your debut here. I gotta say, very impressive. You were coming into the last week of the season. There's a possibility you weren't going to make the playoffs, but you pushed through, man. I got to give you a lot of credit. You made the playoffs with a 7-7 record. Not only that, you won the championship. That is extremely rare. We had, I believe, a 5th seed facing a 6th seed. Another rare feat you don't see that often.
Right.
Sure, you've seen a 5th seed and a 6th seed winning, but playing together in a championship, you don't see that very often. So yeah, great job, Lucas. I gotta give you a lot of credit.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And also thank you, Lucas, for doing this because we were looking for ways to make our league more competitive this year, and I think bringing you aboard most definitely made it happen because we had some that were not really competitive. We did not really competitive. It was like a 2 or 3 man show. I think it turned out to be a 4-man show at the end, but it was tight. It was tight throughout, but getting to the playoffs, and then I believe you knocked me out last week, and then and then you rolled that to a championship.
Yeah, this is why I organize the divisions the way I organize it. I like to have a competitive. Like I had basically all of us who made the playoffs last year in one division. I wanted it to be stacked. I wanted it to be the battle of the ages, basically.
Yeah.
And I do my draft order based on where we finish in the league the previous season.
Yes. So I think
essentially, since the worst statistically, unfortunately, even though he didn't have the worst record per se, technically, when you do the consolation round, Alex had the worst overall record, so he has the #1 pick next season.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So that means if you go reverse order, technically, then that means Lucas would be 10th, Dino would be 9th, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I do have the final standings in our league right here. So,
it's about as competitive as I can make it. Probably get all the people who made the playoffs last year in the same division, whatnot.
Yeah.
So basically, I probably do some organization.
So here are your final standings.
Yeah. So basically, the top 5 will be the division for next season, and then the other 5 that will be the other division.
So it'll be me.
It's going to be a nightmare.
So me, beat Dino.
So go ahead.
Tiny Tim, John Flynn, and Natalie.
And me. Basically, all the people that are in this room right now will be in the division next season together.
I like that.
Wow. Oh,
it's gonna be a nightmare next year for all of us.
It looks like I'm frozen. I gotta switch to my phone. I'll be right back. I'm frozen.
Oh my gosh.
Be right back.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Wow. Oh man. Lord have mercy.
Won't be easy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Yeah, but
that's cool.
Yeah, but hey, since we have 6 teams in the in the playoffs, it feels like I'll be with that. We'll all be in the conversation for wild cards.
True.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah. So I think once Natalie gets back, I think we can. Oh, here he is.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, for some reason my laptop only lasts so long when I'm on this video thing. It eventually freezes like after 30 minutes for some reason every time.
Wow. What kind of software do you got?
This is just a Chromebook, so maybe that's why. So it's very inexpensive. That might be the case.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I said before. I try to do different ideas every year. And that's something you don't see in the league. In these leagues typically defensive player. I started that I think last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, my defensive player Zaire Franklin was really good for the.
Yeah,
he was a big back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will admit this, but yeah, good thing the guys talked me out of it. I was very tempted to do a 2-quarterback league, but thankfully these two guys up there talked me out of it. I'm like, okay, never mind.
You can't do 2-quarterback leagues, Natalie, especially with the nature of quarterback. I mean, this especially. Imagine if we did it this season with all the. I probably would have been taking Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts with my first 2 picks if that were the case.
I'm open to new ideas. I try something new I try to do something new every year if I could.
Yeah,
my very first year, I didn't really know what I was doing, but yeah, Flynn and Tim basically walked me through everything, and yeah, they made it better. It's been better every year since.
Yeah,
I was a little all over the place the first year, but it got better over time.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ran a fantasy football league. I was like the commissioner. I created a custom league. I didn't know the difference between custom and league manager on ESPN.
Right.
So I had like a lot. It was 2 quarterbacks. No, was it 2 quarterbacks? No, it was 1 quarterback because it was a 16-team league. I had a punter, I had a head coach on my fantasy team. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
How do you get points for a head coach? The head coach catches the ball out of bounds or something? 1 point.
Yes, up, Tim. Let me play it.
Hello. You play to win the game.
So if the coach of the team wins, you win.
Interesting.
I never heard of any scenario like that.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah,
that's interesting to say the least.
Anyway, let me highlight this thing here. We have Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He's watching us. How you doing, Daniel? Great to have you here. Spread the word. Get the word out. We're here on Friday nights now.
So, Friday nights from now through the end of August, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of off-season content. We'll get into that. Yeah. We'll get into that another day, though.
Yeah, but I know, and before we let you, because we had some hot topics, and I want to start
okay
about another game, but before we let you go, we need the temperature of the Pittsburgh Steelers fan going into tomorrow night's matchup against the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson out.
I gotcha. So the game tomorrow is going to be really interesting. To be honest, this is going to be a game where the Steelers really need to get their act together because we played in a similar situation in 2019 with Duck Hodges as our starting quarterback, and our offense just completely was a standstill to the Baltimore Ravens. This time, however, our offense is playing a lot better, and I feel like overall the Steelers do have a much better chance. We do have experience against Tyler Huntley, and I think we do have a much better shot than we did last time. I think the Steelers, at the end of the day, will get the job done. I think they are still a favorite. I think it's now 3 points, but in the end, I think the Steelers are pretty much going to try and get in the playoffs as much as they can. We're going to do what we can. If we end the playoffs, hey, that'll be awesome. If not, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we shouldn't beat the Cardinals and the Patriots, and we probably would have been higher than the Browns at the end of the day. That's how it is. It is what it is, but hey. At least the good thing is I'm hoping the Steelers can get the job done. I like to see the Steelers have a big game. I think the big key factor is you play smart, you run the ball down their throats, you let Najee have a great game. that's my big X factor in game. Just letting Najee have a phenomenal game, and I think you could definitely get the job done at the end of the day.
I mean, Najee Harris ran over the Seattle Seahawks last week, and was one of the top performers in fantasy football. But I do want to pop up the all the weird playoff scenarios because if the Steelers win, they're not guaranteed to make the playoffs. I mean, they
that
need
is
some
true
outside
because
help.
Buffalo
but
wins. Buffalo wins and Jacksonville wins. We're out.
Yeah. Or if the Steelers wind up losing, they could still make the playoffs, but it would just be really tough to do it. So because you need Jacksonville to lose, you need to lose or tie. I think the Bills
one
to
loss
lose
and the Bills and the Jaguars. We need one of those two teams to lose.
Yeah. One of those two teams to lose. If you guys win, and also if you win and the Colts Texans game ends in a tie, you're in by the end of the night tomorrow night.
Right.
Wouldn't it be the most interesting thing? Wouldn't it be the craziest thing if the Colts and Texans tied tomorrow night?
I don't see it, but that'd be hilarious.
I totally agree with you because the three of us do have somebody winning that game, but
yep, we do.
It would have been shades of what happened 2 years ago with when the Steelers needed the Chargers and Raiders not to tie, and the Raiders won at the last play of overtime.
Yeah, I remember that. And then I remember that all too well, man, to be honest. I remember that all too well. And then the freaking Chargers blew it. Raiders won, and Brandon Staley's no longer the head coach. Head coach of the Chargers. Meanwhile, the Steelers still have Mike Tomlin. That was actually Big Ben's last playoff game as an NFL player, and that was bittersweet, man. His last game, I definitely shed a tear a little bit in that last game where Big Ben had to go on the road, his final ever game against Kansas City, going out swinging though, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame in the next 3 years. So
it
was a bittersweet moment. Then we got in. It was bittersweet seeing Big Ben play his last game though and trying his best out there. And we actually led the Chiefs at one point. So.
Yeah, I do remember that before Mahomes did his thing, but
exactly.
So that was wild when you think about it. Look, so I think we're gonna let you rest up and get your voice ready for the game tomorrow night between the Steelers and the Ravens. Well deserved championship, my friend.
Yes, take care. Hopefully, she can join us for the playoff predictions next week.
Yeah,
I won't mind doing.
We'd love to have you next week if you can make it.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, so
bro.
All right, guys, take it easy. See you guys later. See you sometimes, Tim. I'll probably see you on Wednesday. All right.
Yeah, for the four horsemen of pick'ems.
That's right, four horsemen, baby. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad to be your guys' champion. Have a good one,
all right,
guys.
Take care, Lucas.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And you will. And you will. Yeah, you will be listening to that on Wednesday night when we talk about
playoffs. Don't talk about it. Playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of the horsemen, let's show them some love, you know?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Better hang with some fellas who know football. Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube.
Yep, that's right. Four Horsemen Pick'ems Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So y'all check it out.
Yeah. Yes. Besides that, besides that game, and I have a couple of games that I was interested in discussing. But what was one game in particular outside of, besides of course the Cowboys game that really sticks out to you, Tim, for this weekend?
For this weekend or this past weekend?
This upcoming weekend of games.
This upcoming weekend, well, of course, Cowboys against Washington. Of course, it's a long-standing rivalry that goes all the way back to the mid-'60s. One game that sticks out for me has to be Detroit versus Minnesota. That's one game because I think it's going to be very close. I believe the Vikings will may cover the spread, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how the Lions are going to play this after the controversial finish of their game against Dallas last week.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be they're going to come in mad. I mean, like when you watch the old cartoons and when cartoon characters get mad, you literally see fire coming off their heads.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it's going to be. Also, I would like to mention both of the matchups, the two matchups for the NFC South Division. Falcons and Saints, then Buccaneers and Panthers. Because if somehow, I think if somehow the Buccaneers lose to the Panthers, then I think the winner of Atlanta and New Orleans will end up taking the division.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very weak division this year so far.
Yeah. It looks like only one team in that division is gonna make the playoffs. So but if we somehow get the Bucs to lose and the Falcons to win, the Falcons will have the tiebreakers because of the head-to-head. The Falcons will be in the playoffs with the losing record.
Wow, jeez.
And the Cowboys and the Eagles will travel to Atlanta. Most likely, or the loser of the NFC East travels to Atlanta for a wild card game next weekend.
And of course, the Steelers and Ravens. Of course, I've said time and time again. Every time I see those two teams get together, it is just one big showdown right there because they just hate each other.
Yes, I mean, so back to Detroit, Minnesota. So if you're the Lions, how do you play this, knowing that Dallas? Let's say there's a better chance than not that Dallas beats Washington and the Cowboys are in the 2 seed. Would wrap up the 2 seed because of the head-to-head, and the Lions will be locked into the 3 seed. But how do you play this if you're the Lions? It's like so it's like you want to win, try the best chance possible, but then you don't want guys to get hurt. So do you play?
Yeah, I anticipate the Lions resting their starters, but maybe they'll play one series. That's about it.
See, but I think the thing though, I think because Dan Campbell is such a different coach compared to the rest of the league, like. Yeah, it is such a dilemma that coaches face in a situation like this for the regular season finale. Now, what the Rams are doing, because the Rams they're already in the playoffs, but they haven't have their seeds determined because the six seeds down to them and the Packers, and they could be no worse than the 7 seeds, but that seed's not determined yet. Yet the Rams are sitting Matthew Stafford, they're sitting Kyrie Williams, they're sitting Cooper Kupp, and they're sitting Aaron Donald. So
yeah,
I'm definitely interested in seeing that. So Natalie, one game that we haven't talked about yet that you're very much interested in. In seeing the result.
Yeah, well, I got one that we didn't mention yet. One thing out to me, one of the oldest rivalries in sports, Bears and the Packers. Packers have the most simplest scenario: win and you're in. Otherwise, you got to worry about the Seahawks because the Seahawks could get in if they win, and the Seahawks are in, I believe, with a win and a Packers loss, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, let me pull up. What's up, Johnster?
Hey, good to see you.
Let me pull up. Yeah, let me pull up Seattle. Yeah, let me pull up Seattle's scenario. So this is right here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So Seattle win and a Green Bay loss to tie.
Yeah, and I think there's a really big
the win and the loss, that's
that,
the most simplest thing.
Yeah. So, but there is actually a lot of interesting things that are going to come out of this game. Because number one, because with the Packers, can you trust Jordan Love in a win and you're in scenario? Because he's been up and down. But also, what about the Chicago Bears? I think this is a seriously underrated story right now. What are the Bears going to do with Justin Fields and the just clinched number one draft pick? Because by virtue of the Panthers clinching the NFL's worst record, and by virtue of having their first round pick next year, so that the Bears are going to select first as of now in the upcoming draft, and there is a pretty good prospect out of Southern California who might be enticing for the Bears at 1. So do you keep Justin Fields? Do you trade Justin Fields and make room for the quarterback?
It seems like Johnson's got an opinion on that one. Let me highlight that. Let me highlight the right one. He says Fields probably stay and Bears take Harrison Jr. first overall.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but it's because when you trade, if you trade Justin Fields, that'll reset the rookie quarterback contract, and then you can actually bring in some pieces in free agency, whether it's on the offensive line, whether it's strengthening an already improving defense, or acquire another receiver to pair up with DJ Moore. So I think the Chicago Bears are going to be enter this offseason with a lot of leverage. So how are they going to use it? That remains to be seen. So I personally would trade Justin Fields. What do you guys say?
That's a tough one. That really is a tough one right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's had a really decent season, all things considered. The losing season is not his fault.
No, not really.
Yeah, but this was something I shared on if I could get this up I'll get a graphic up in about a minute or two on this, so you can pull with me while I'm figuring that out. The two of you can answer this question.
Oh, Jay has this question. Who do I start, Derek Carr or Tyrod Taylor for? Oh, he's in a league championship, and he's wanting to know if he should start Carr or Taylor. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Taylor is starting against the Chickens.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, yeah. And Derek
I'm personally leaning towards Derek Carr because the Eagles' defense is pretty strong. I think the Giants are gonna. Granted, I think the Giants are gonna cover the spread here, but that's a tough one.
Have you seen the Eagles' defense the last month, Natalie? Have you not been watching those Chickens?
Have you not seen the fact that they've lost 4 of their
last?
Come on, Natalie.
I don't know if
Come on, Natalie. You're better than this.
Yeah, but the Giants' offense hasn't been. Giants' offense hasn't been that great. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that worries me.
I mean, they moved the ball up and down the field against the Rams last week. I mean, they had close to 400 yards of total offense for the first time since week 2.
And then on the left side, you're going to have Derek Carr starting against the Broncos defense.
Derek Carr does what team does he play for, Tim? No, he doesn't.
What? Not with the Raiders too.
Plays for the
wait a
Saints.
minute. He plays for the Saints. Oh yeah. So the Saints are going up against the Falcons. So
yeah.
So why was I thinking Derek Carr for the Raiders?
Yeah.
That's a totally different thing here. I think Johnster has an answer here. Let's highlight that statement here. It says Tyrod Taylor. He brought the Giants back into the game in Philly. Now it's in MetLife. Tyrod Taylor is the proper choice.
Yeah, I would totally pick Tyrod too because of all the issues right now with the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Yeah, it is so amazing. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles came into this league defending division champions, 10-1 after the first 11 games, and now they have lost 4 of their last 5. It's just mind-boggling.
I hope you guys are right because I'm just skeptical about it because the Giants can never get the monkey off their back and beating the Eagles. They haven't beat the Eagles since 2016. They just can't get that monkey off their back.
Well, they beat the Eagles in 2020. They beat the Eagles in 2021 they did?
I could have sworn the Giants' last win against the Eagles was 2016.
Nope.
Or am I thinking of the Cowboys?
I mean, the Cowboys have been good. You think the Cowboys have been the you probably you're probably thinking the.
Are you sure the Giants beat the Eagles in 2020?
Week 10. Look
I don't remember that. Now. I could have sworn the Giants' last win against Philly was 2016.
Oh, also another reason for you.
Oh, here's a strong statement here. Hiring Matt Patricia is a fireable offense for Howie Roseman, in my opinion. Because nobody really liked Matt Patricia as a head coach. So
yeah, it's Matt Patricia can't coach his way out of a paper bag. I mean, and yeah, but anyway, but before we were talking about that, we were talking about Justin Fields and his trade value. So for my podcast socials yesterday, I posted this following graphic about Justin Fields and his stats for this year, and I compared and contrasted it to Lamar Jackson. So what do you guys think in terms of how much value you can get back for Justin Fields, who is quite talented?
He played 12 games, 201.2 passing yards, 16 passing touchdowns to only 9 interceptions. QBR 46.3, rushing yards 630, 4 rushing touchdowns. Okay, if Fields is traded, then
and I mean, mind you, Justin Fields. I mean, a little similar at the wide receiver position for both these teams. Although Baltimore got significantly better with Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers and the emergence of Isaiah Likely, but my point that I made both on the podcast yesterday and the one I'm about to make now, you can get some significant assets in exchange for Justin Fields, and
I suppose. I mean, I can't really make a call. I mean, on one hand, say give him another chance, give him another year in Chicago. On the other hand, maybe let him explore his options.
Yeah, but that's about a big story when you're looking at the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, and also how about the Packers? I mean, the fact that we're in this situation where the Packers will be in the playoffs if they win their last regular season game, I think is crazy because guess I was someone who believed Jordan Love couldn't play, but he looked confident, he looked tough. He made all the big throws against Minnesota, so it's going to be two teams that have been playing that have been playing solid football down the stretch, especially when you look at the Chicago Bears and what they were able to do. So I think it's going to be very interesting who comes out of that game. Now, the games I was interested in looking at when we talked, I mean, we looked at the Texans and Colts earlier, but I think about as it pertained to the Steelers. But the Texans and the Colts were two teams that nobody saw playing for a playoff spot in Week 18. And I mean, I was not as surprised about the Houston Texans as you know, Natalia, as you know, Tim. I was all aboard the Houston Texans bandwagon at the start of the season, and they already have 9 wins. But what a job they've done. But also, one other game that we haven't discussed yet that I think needs to be discussed: the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins on Sunday night.
Yes, the game of the week.
In my personal opinion, the game of the week. So
yes.
Yeah, and the thing with two things. Number one, have you seen the injury report for the Miami Dolphins this week?
I don't think I have.
I mean, oh my gosh! I mean, I wish we could pull it up because Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, they're all banged up. Bradley Chubb tore his ACL last week. It's on Miami's left guard is on the injury report as well, and so there are like 20 different players on the injury report for the Dolphins. So they're going to be all banged up headed into Sunday's game. So which leads us to the Bills, a Bills team that I picked preseason to play on Championship Sunday. But when you look at all the talent on that roster, how much pressure do you think is on the Bills? Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure on Buffalo this week.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can imagine with the way that the Bills held down the top spot in the AFC for quite some time, and then Josh Allen starts having his problems with throwing those interceptions, having those turnovers, and having to listen to Mike Greenberg keep saying that this criticism of Josh Allen is foul, it is not fair. And then in the last couple of weeks, the Bills start winning again, and they have a chance to win their division. I mean, it's crazy. And for the Dolphins to have their star players banged up, that might make a difference. Yeah.
And also the winner.
Johnson's got a point. Are y'all familiar with the Madden curse?
Yeah.
Made the cover.
Wow.
Yeah. And he had a pretty kind of a low season, so
I mean, to his standards, but with the Bills team pretty much in full force. Listen, no excuses for the Buffalo Bills. No excuses.
Right.
And
no excuses for the Bills.
And the crazy thing is, the winner of this game is going to win the division and be the 2 seed, and have multiple playoff games being played at their stadium. So, lot at stake. And will the Bills might have already clinched a playoff spot if they
the that scenario we could see it. We can see their elimination scenarios too.
They might clinch a playoff spot with they might have already clinched a playoff spot by the time they play on Sunday night. But I think it's worth noting here the the Bills scenarios here, because I think it should be noted, especially for this one. So, yeah, here we go. So the Bills are if the Steelers lose, the Jags lose, or the Colts Texans game ends in a tie, the Bills will already be in the playoffs before they play. But if they win the AFC East and they pick up the number 2 seed. So but of course there is a there is of course an elimination scenario for Buffalo. Is that if somebody wins the Colts Texans game, and if the Steelers beat Baltimore, if the Jags beat Tennessee, the Bills are going to be playing for their season on Sunday night. That if they lose, the season's over.
Yeah, I think that scenario is actually very plausible.
One of the all-time colossal failures.
Wow,
it is very plausible when you think about
it. Very
So,
plausible, I do have Pittsburgh winning.
Yeah.
But I do have all these 3 teams losing, but do I have Buffalo losing? That's the key.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a scenario where you might have an immense amount of pressure here for at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anyway, I see by the little snippet up there in the corner there is time once again for Tim's Stuff Trivia. My question this week may not be that tough. It might be. I mean, I won't be surprised if one of you guys get it, and I won't be surprised if any of y'all out there will get it. But anyway, here is this week's trivia question. Now, as we know, talking about the Detroit Lions, they won their first division title since 1993. Of course, that was before the realignment of the teams. They won the Central Division back in 93. So basically, the question is, who was the Lions starting quarterback in the 93 year? There you go. Who was the starting quarterback for the 1993 Detroit Lions?
I forgot his name.
That is something y'all have to consider. We'll let y'all think about that. And while y'all think about that, I think we got to think about well, first we have to think about Flynn having frozen up and temporarily out of water, but of course he'll be making a return to the show here.
Yeah.
So once again, the question: who was the starting quarterback for the 93 Detroit Lions the last time they won the division? So
and the name's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't pull it out. I know the name sounds very familiar.
Okay, well, we'll just go.
But yeah, the viewer, if there's any viewers watching, feel free to put it in the comments.
I think we have a guess from a Johnster, Rodney Pete. Rodney Pete, that's his answer. See if anyone else watching wants to throw out an answer.
That name does sound very familiar. So.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds familiar. That is, if you're if you're ever really a fan of any TV show which featured his wife Holly Robinson, Pete. They got married. I think. Yeah, I read that Rodney and Holly got married back in 95.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think that was the year after. I think that was the year around the time when Rodney Pete was playing for the Cowboys. Yeah, he was Troy Aikman's backup in the 95 year after they had Brady Kosar for basically the last half of their season when Troy Aikman had those that concussion issue. I think it was against. I want to say it was against the Giants in the early part of the season, and Aikman went down with an injury, and the backup at that time was Jason Garrett.
Right.
And Garrett led to win, but the very next week they had to go out and find another quarterback. And then just one day after the Browns released Brady Kosar, the Cowboys picked him up. And he only played for the rest of the season before leaving Dallas and going to Miami.
Right.
So okay, there's Flynn. There's Flynn back here.
Yes. So I lost internet connection as you were reading the question. So can you repeat that? Your trivia question.
Yeah, the trivia question was, we know that the Lions' last division championship was back in 1993. Question is, who was the starting quarterback?
Oh gosh.
So we've already had one guess from Johnster, a very familiar name, Rodney Peete. So while we let everybody else think about the answer to that question, I think it's time we go to our picks. What do you say?
Yeah, we will go into my picks first for starts and sits for the
yeah. I was about to say that we should probably do Flynn's final start and sit-ems for the season.
Oh yes.
If you guys are playing week 18 games, yeah, you guys are freaks, but we love you just the same. But listen to Flynn; he's got the inside scoop here.
Okay, starting quarterback. My starting quarterback of the week is my guy Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears going up to Green Bay to take on the Packers. And we talked a little bit about Justin Fields earlier in the program, but I think Justin Fields against that Packers defense, I think is a really enticing matchup. Now, the Packers defense did play well against Minnesota, but for some odd reason, the Vikings decided to start Jaron Hall as the quarterback, which made absolutely no sense. I think Justin Fields is going to tear apart that Packers defense. I think is gonna have a big day on Sunday. My starting running back of the week is James Cook of the Buffalo Bills going in the game against the Miami Dolphins. Because look, I think where we saw how vital it's been for the Bills to run the football over the last several weeks. And James Cook had a bit of a down week last week after a couple of great performances in weeks 15 and 16. I think gets back to that. I think the Bills are going to be a run first team against Miami, so I think it's going to be we're going to. I say for the Bills, let James Cook. My starting wide receiver of the week is Nico Collins of the Houston Texans going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Now the Texans are banged up with injuries at the wide receiver position, but Nico Collins has been looking at 30% target share of in recent weeks. So I think Nico Collins is going to be prime for a lot of reliable targets here from CJ Stroud. Like I'm thinking 10 catches. I'm Saturday thinking 120 yards. So I think that's 20 points right there. So I like his matchup for the Houston Texans. My starting tight end of the week is Gerald Everett of the LA Chargers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now I would say, whoa, Gerald Everett, but the Chargers have nobody left. So who is Easton Stick going to throw the ball to? Gerald Everett. So I think you might have catches by default. My starting defense / special teams of the week is the New England Patriots defense / special teams going up against the Jets. Now, I think it. I just think that the Jets have nailed it in. I think that the Jets to me quit on Robert Saleh, and this Patriots defense has been underrated all year. But their offense has been so bad that they're 4-12 right now. So with that in mind, the Patriots defense / special teams is my choice here for that. And my starting kicker of the week is Matt Gay for the Indianapolis Colts. I think that the Colts-Texans game is going to be a back and forth affair, and I think the Colts are going to need some field goals late to stay in or a chance to win. So I like his matchup. My sits of the week Tua Tagovailoa for the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. We saw what Tua has done against good defenses all year. Spoiler alert, it hasn't been good. The Bills are another good talent defense. I think it's going to be going and Tua might be without his top two. His top two receivers are questionable. His top two running backs are questionable. So what is Tua supposed to do? Run the ball? My running back sets of the week are Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Rams. Now, Christian McCaffrey is not playing for the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday, obviously, because they've locked up the 1 seed. Their sights are set on the playoffs. But I think it. I don't know who Shanahan's going to trust to run the football. And the split might be inconsistent, so I wouldn't touch those guys if I were you. My wide receiver sit of the week is going to be Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Saints. I think this has been a puzzling situation all year with Drake London because. That's because of the weird usage of him and the weird usage of offensive players this year by Arthur Smith, and that's ultimately what I think is going to be his undoing. If he and I believe he's going to get fired if the Falcons don't make the playoffs coming up this Monday. My tight end set is Tyler Conklin of the Jets going up against the Patriots. I guess the Patriots have been shutting down tight ends all year. I don't think it's going to be any exception this week. My defense set of the week is going to be the Green Bay Packers defense. It'll be poetic if it's the Packers defense that keeps the team out of the postseason. But they are going up against an improving Bears team that's run the football a lot, and they pounded the football on the ground against the Falcons last week. I think against the Falcons defense that did give that went into last week as the number 2 defense against the run and against running backs in fantasy land. But Khalil Herbert, who was my sitting running back of the week, had 124 yards rushing on 18 carries. So what's that? And my starting kicker, my kicker set of the week is Dustin Hopkins of the Cleveland Browns going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know what to make of this game, honestly, for Cleveland with Jeff Driscoll starting at quarterback. So so I think that's a matchup I definitely want to avoid.
All right. Well, there you go. There's your starts and sits for week 18. So for you playing in their fantasy league championships, you might want to take notes of those players right now. And I guess now we will go ahead and get to the week 18 points. Like, we're going to the games, picking the spreads. And let's go ahead and pop that one up right now. There we go. So last week, Flynn and Natalie tied with a record of 12-4, while I came in at 11-5. Against the spread, I took the top honor with a 9-6-1. Flynn had 7-8-1. Natalie had 6-9-1. So after 17 weeks of competition, I have the overall lead as far as the straight up wins with 165-91. Flynn has 163-93, and Natalia at 160-96. So far this season, against the spread, I'm on top, 135, 116-5. Natalie is second with 131, 120-5. And Flynn with 129, 122-5. So as we now take a look at our week 18 matchups, we have a couple of Saturday specials here. Starting in Baltimore, where it's that big matchup that I always love to see it twice a year. It's the Steelers and the Ravens playing in Baltimore. where the Steelers have a 3.5 point spread advantage, or they're picked by 3.5. We are unanimous with taking the Steelers with the win. Flynn is taking the Steelers with the win, but with the Ravens, he's taking the points.
Mm-hmm. I think Tyler Huntley, who is one of the most underrated backups in the league. I think he's going to make it a close game.
All righty then. We are unanimous with Houston going into Colts land and taking down Indianapolis. Houston's only picked by 1. We have the Texans covering and winning, as well as we are same in boat with Tampa Bay traveling to Carolina, taking on the Packers, where the Buccaneers are 4.5 point favorites. We all pick and cover with the Buccaneers. Once again, the Battle of Ohio. It's Cleveland and Cincinnati. Bengals picked by 7. I am taking the Bengals to win straight up. Natalie and Flynn are taking. What's that?
Yeah. We actually just should clarify something here because Johnston writes a comment. So how do you tie on the spread without a game ending in a tie? So last week the Colts were were favored by 3.0 points against the Raiders. The Colts wound up winning by 3 points. So when that happens, it's a push, as we call it.
Okay, so that basically clarifies. I was kind of thinking the same thing myself. So
yeah, and we and Tim and I had the lock of the week with the Bucks over the Panthers.
Yep, that's right. Once again, we all picking the Bengals to win. I'm taking the Bengals with the straight up win. Italian Flynn taking the Bengals with the win, with the Browns with points.
Yeah, that seemed a little generous. I mean, despite the Browns most likely resting their starters, I still think the Bengals are. I still think it's going to be a competitive game.
Yeah, it's similar to what Baltimore has, and this is going to be the same thing with Kansas City and San Francisco because they've already locked up seeds. You won't be able to rest everybody because you need to have 46 players active. So not everybody. I mean, obviously, you look at Mahomes, who's not playing. You look at Lamar Jackson, who's not playing, and same thing with Joe Flacco and Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford. Those guys aren't playing. The guys you want to sit out because, especially for the non-San Francisco Baltimore teams who have to play next week, you want to have them on 2 weeks of rest in the playoffs. But yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be a competitive game as well as the Vikings going into Detroit taking on the Lions. Lions picked by 3.5. We all say that the Lions will win. I have the Lions covering, but I have the Vikings covering, but I've got Detroit with the win there. That's my point spread game of the week right there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the Jets and the Patriots. Patriots are 1.5 point favorites. We all agree that the Patriots will win and cover on that one.
And this is myself and Flynn's, I think, garbage game of the week. Correct, Flynn?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a game this week that deserves that title and not just by the tally standards, it's this one.
Yep.
Then we have the Atlanta Falcons and New Orleans Saints at the Superdome. Saints picked by 3.5. We are taking the Saints to win and cover on that one.
Yeah, we are also unanimous on the Jaguars taking down the Tennessee Titans. Now, I wanted the spread to be a little bit higher than 3.5 so I could grab the points with the Titans because I think Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys play hard. But I just think with Tannehill starting over Will Levis, I think that's where hope goes to die. If you're rooting for the Titans, I'm looking at the Bills fans, looking at the Colts or the Texans fans. I'm looking at the Steelers fans. So, I think that's going to be the one period of pause I have.
All right. We have the Seahawks going into Arizona taking on the Cardinals. Seahawks are picked by 3.5. Natalia and I are taking the Seahawks to win and cover. Meanwhile, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from what I see here,
it's 3. It's 3, not 3.5.
Oh yeah, 3. But I think I see Flynn having this one as his upset special.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to play it because it's a half point shy, but I am picking the Arizona Cardinals to win because look, Seattle's defense has been atrocious, and Kyler Murray has been playing some really good football down the stretch. So I think the Cardinals are going to find a way to win that game, and look, I think the Seahawks are and the Seahawks have had a lot of trouble running the football all year. And when Lucas earlier in the show talked about James Conner and what he and his problem and his strengths, he ran for 125 yards against Philly last week. I think he might have a similar boat this week. So I think the Cardinals are going to go into this offseason with some momentum.
Mm-hmm. Then we have a renewal of the longest rivalry in NFL history. It's the Bears and the Packers at the frozen tundra, with the Packers 3.5, 3-point favorites. Natalia and I are taking the Packers. Flynn's got the Bears getting.
Wow, Flynn's eliminating the Packers from the playoffs altogether. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting indeed.
Let me see what this what this is. Yeah, but if the Packers don't win, they need Seattle, they need either Tampa or New Orleans and Minnesota to lose. So yes, I would have the Packers knocked out of the playoffs, because I think the thing you don't realize is that the Bears have been the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL over the last 6 weeks.
Right.
I mean,
so wait, so who's making who gets the final playoff spot then on your bracket here?
I mean, hold on. That's a good question because I need to figure this one out, because I have the Vikings losing, I have the Seahawks losing, I have the Packers losing. That's a good question.
Wait, we might have to go to the playoff machine.
Hey, oh yeah.
Wait, I think I'm still on here. Let me see if I could pull up a playoff machine here if I can. Oh, here we go. All right, I got the playoff machine. Hold on, let me try something here. All right, Flynn, rattle off your picks. That way I could mark these down. You got the Steelers. You have the Texans.
This is just NFC we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I know that. I got to rattle off. I have to pick every game here. That way I could. That way the machine pops up.
Oh yeah.
I got to do this first. Okay.
Yeah, Tampa.
You have the Buck. Okay, after Tampa, you have the Browns or the Bengals? Or you have the Bengals. Let's see. You have the Lions. You have the Patriots. You have the Saints. Okay, you have the Jaguars. You have the Cardinals. You have the Bears. Okay, you have the Chiefs. You have the Raiders. You have the Eagles.
Love the Raiders minus 2.5 this week.
Okay, you got the Niners, the Commanders, and the Bills. Okay, so let's see. Okay, it's the Saints. You get the Saints in the final playoff spot.
Oh,
all right. So, okay, so let's be interesting. Let's review Flynn's bracket. So Flynn's bracket, obviously, you got the number 1 seed, the 49ers. That's obvious. So Flynn's number 2 seed is the Cowboys playing the Saints. Flynn's 3rd seed is the Lions playing the Rams, and his 4th seed is the Bucks facing the Eagles.
And
then on Then on your AFC side, you have the Bills playing the Texans, the Chiefs playing the Dolphins, and the Jaguars playing the Browns.
Yes. So I want you to do something for a second. Change the Tampa win to a Tampa loss and see what comes up.
Okay, that's Tampa win. All right, so change it to the Panthers. Then you're saying, let's see.
Yeah,
that puts Green Bay in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Green Bay will make it in that scenario.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, did you wish to change your pick to the Panthers then, or no?
No,
or is this just an experiment?
I was looking at the hypothetical.
Okay, so it's an experiment. Alrighty.
So wouldn't that be interesting? If all my picks verified, we'd have two teams in the NFC South making the playoffs.
All right. I'm gonna check Tim's scenario now. Let's see what happens with Tim's bracket. All right, he's got the Steelers. Okay, he's got the Texans. He's got the Bucks. He's got the Bengals. He's got the Lions. It looks like we all have similar picks here. Let's see. You got the Lions. You've got the Patriots there. The Saints. Okay, he's got the Jaguars there. All right, he's got the Seahawks. He's got Green Bay. KC. The Broncos. The Eagles. Okay, that's already clicked. The Rams. Cowboys. And Dolphins. All right, so with Tim's bracket, we have the Cowboys playing the Bucks. Oh, sorry, Bucks playing the Packers. Excuse me. Lions playing the Rams. Lions playing the Rams. The Bucks playing the Eagles.
So that would be a heck of a matchup with the Rams and the Lions. Well, with Matthew Stafford's first game in Detroit being the first home playoff game for the Lions in 30 years. That's gonna be bad.
Oh, here's an interesting one. The AFC, Tim would have the Dolphins playing the Steelers. and then the other, and everything else here is the same. The Chiefs playing the Texans and the Jaguars playing the Browns. All right, now I'm going to go to mine. Let's see. Okay, I have the Steelers, I have the Texans, I have the Bucks, I have the Bengals. Okay, I have the Lions.
Tim, wouldn't it be something if we got Steelers Dolphins in the first round with 4 horsemen?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Okay, and then I got the Packers. Wait, are my picks exactly the same as Tim's? I'm just reviewing here. I think we only have one that's different, right?
So you have 2 differences. Natalia, you got Buffalo, and you got the Chargers.
Oh, right. Let's see. I don't think that changes anything though, really that much. Buffalo, and then I got to change one here to Chargers.
I mean the Bills, because the winner of the Bills Dolphins game gets the 2 seed, and both we're disagreeing on that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we have a slight difference with the AFC. So my AFC would be the Bills against the Texans. So the NFC remains the same. Huh?
It's saying that you would have the Steelers in if the Bills lost.
Oh no, I have the Bills winning. I did mine.
Yeah.
Mine is Bills versus Texans.
Yeah.
Tim has Bills versus Dolphins versus Steelers. Well, that would be interesting. But other than that, we're all in agreement about the Jaguars facing the Browns for the most part. That's the part we're all the same on. We're all basically the same on the Bucks playing the Eagles, and we're all basically the same on the Lions playing the Rams.
Yeah.
We just have some slight differences with the 2 and the 7, basically.
Yeah, and then
for the most part,
and then what do you say that I'd have Dolphins Chiefs in the first round? Tyreek Hill's actual return to Arrowhead, because it was supposed to be this season, but because that game was in Germany instead of.
Yeah.
All right, now we got the playoff machine out of the way. I guess we could resume where we left off. I think we left off on the Packers and the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, but listen, I think the Bears have been playing better. I think they have the quarterback advantage in this game, and I think they have the defense advantage in this game. So I think the Bears are going to go to Lambeau Field and knock off the Packers and essentially them out of the playoffs.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys want to play with the machine, it's ESPN.com/NFL/playoffs/machine.
There you go. There you go.
Pivot over there. That's the website. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, there we go.
Yep, that's how it looks.
That's what it looks like.
So y'all check. Yeah, so y'all check it out. Now we go
ESPN.com/NFL.
Yeah. Okay. Now we go to Los Angeles at SoFi, where the Chiefs will be playing against the Chargers. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. Flynn and I are taking the Chiefs, while Natalie's taking the Chargers.
But I'm not really enthusiastic about this as an upset special because nobody has anything to play for, really, except for franchise pride. So I'm not going to ring off the upset special graphic for that horn for that.
Right. We have the other AFC West matchup, the Broncos and the Raiders. Raiders are 2.5-point favorites in this one. Natalia and I are taking the Broncos. Flynn is taking the Raiders.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are playing hard, and I think the Broncos have quit, honestly. So that's why I'm taking. I mean, which is crazy because you've known my stance on the Raiders as an organization. The Raiders are the less dysfunctional organization right now in this game.
We have the Eagles and the Giants over at MetLife Stadium. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. All of us are taking the Eagles, but all of us think that the Giants can cover.
Yeah, they've been trying. They've been really trying lately. So
yeah, which is why you don't fire Brian Dable.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Not that it ever crossed anybody's mind, but
I do think though Kafka and Magani might be on the hot seat.
Yeah, but more importantly, Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach, who needs to go.
Right. We have the LA Rams going into San Francisco to face the Niners, who are 4-point favorites. Flynn is taking the Niners to win. He's got the Rams to cover. Natalie and I are both taking the Rams, and this is my upset special. Basically, because of the aforementioned fact that the Niners are basically going to be starting pretty much the majority of their starters. They don't have anything to lose in this one. They don't have anything more to gain. They got the number 1 seed wrapped up in the NFC. So I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Rams on this one.
Carson Wentz against Sam Darnold is going to be the matchup in that game.
Probably the most interesting matchup I've seen of quarterbacks in recent memory.
And remember in the 2016 draft, the Rams, Jeff Fisher took Jared Goff over Carson Wentz. In that draft, and Carson Wentz was on track to win league MVP before he tore his ACL in a game against the Rams the following season. Yeah, but it still feels it's been so many years since the Rams had Jeff Fisher ruining everything. Jeff Fisher, like Stan Kroenke wasn't awake for many years.
All right. Oh, we have my matchup here. One of the oldest rivalries, Dallas and Washington. In DC, the Cowboys are 15-point favorites in this one. Flynn has Dallas Cowboys winning and covering, while Natalie and I have the Cowboys winning, but the Commanders covering. I think Washington.
Yeah, I thought the 13 was a little aggressive.
Just slightly, in my opinion.
So yeah, but I mean, Washington's the worst defense in the league, and you got Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Mike McCarthy and playing for a division title.
Yeah, that's true. And then finally, the final game of the regular season. This is basically the game of the week.
Yeah, game 272 of 272.
Oh yeah.
And this is basically the AFC Eastern Division Championship game. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins over at Hard Rock Stadium. Buffalo comes in 2.5-point favorites. Flynn and Natalie are taking the Bills, and I am going with the Dolphins here. Even though the Dolphins are kind of banged up a little bit, I'm a little bit concerned. Is Josh Allen going to have one of those games again? Who knows? We'll just have to see what happens.
With that pick, Tim eliminates the Buffalo Bills from playoff contention.
Yeah, I mean, if all of Tim's picks verify, the Bills would be out. But
all right.
Mm-hmm.
I actually would like to add one little thing to this show. Monday night.
Alrighty.
We have the college football playoff championship game. Number 1 Michigan against number 2 Washington. I'm just going to see how you guys think about that particular matchup.
I mean, I'm just curious. I have not seen a spread for this game. But
it's Michigan. I think it's Michigan by 4.
I think 4 is too little. I mean, did you see Washington's defense in the game against Texas? I mean,
I did.
I mean, Quinn Ewers was just, well, I mean, aside from the mistakes, I thought he was tearing apart that defense in the second half. I mean, leading to wide open coverages, allowing them to make a lot of big plays down the field, and that's that. And if it wasn't for Steve Sarkisian's weird play calling on that last sequence of the game, where they had 4 downs to get it in from the 12-yard line, if it wasn't for that, then Washington would have lost, and Texas would have been in the championship. So, but I just mean JJ McCarthy, I think, is going to rip apart that Washington secondary, which has been atrocious. I mean, this is one of the worst college football playoff defenses I've ever seen. And the way Michigan plays with their offensive lines, that they're running the football, and JJ McCarthy throwing the ball, I think it's going to be a nightmare. I think they're going to win this game by at least 15 points. So I'm going to take Michigan to roll here over Washington.
I am actually going to go with Michigan, even though I think Washington is going to make it very interesting with their offense. The way they really took care of my Longhorn defense. And it was just a pain for me to watch that game, I'm telling you right now. But Michigan is going to take it in the end. I think they will take it by 4 points. I'm taking the Wolverines over the Huskies, 28-24. Go blue.
Yeah. And also my score should be I must note 41-21 is my pick.
Interesting. Now, Natalie, you're not really that much into college football. And
not really, but the funny thing is, I tried out the College Bowl pick'ems just for the heck of it, just for fun. And oddly enough, you know what my record was? I actually did okay. 28-14.
Not bad. Not bad at
Yeah,
all.
and this is coming from someone who knows absolutely nothing. I just had some silly logic. I just picked the logo that I like best, and it seemed to work.
Yeah.
I started 9-0.
So, what was the logo you liked the most? I'm interested in this.
I'm not sure. Like, what's logo? What the look of the logo that I like the best? Let me see. I picked the one that had like the flashy. I picked ones with flashy colors and logos that I recognized.
Yeah.
My biggest whiff though, I think, was picking Syracuse. That was my big whiff.
I mean, luckily for Syracuse, they got Kyle. They upgraded a quarterback with Kyle McCord. One
of them I had a really tough time with because it was it was the Rutgers and Miami game. I grew up in both places, so it was hard for me to pick on that one. I lived in both New Jersey and Florida. See, I actually have a Hurricanes hat.
Oh.
Yep.
You.
Yeah. Yep. But I ended up picking Miami that game. That one was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers is different when Greg Schiano's the coach.
Yeah. So I'm going with Michigan. I gotta go with my boys here. So.
Yeah, but I guess
So he just went with the ones with the best.
But I'm going to stick with what I picked in the college bracket when I set up. I'm just going to stick with Michigan. I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to go. I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm just going to go 38-36.
38-36 Michigan over Washington. So we'll just see what happens.
I have a high scoring game actually on this one. I've seen bits and pieces. Like I don't follow it religiously to know names. I just took a look just for fun because I had nothing better to do.
I know you would be interested to know that Arch Manning might be the starting quarterback for Texas next year. Cooper Manning's son.
Oh wow!
It's because Archie had Cooper before Peyton and Eli. So the oldest grandchild could be Texas' starting quarterback next year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think the year his recruiting year, I think he was the number 1 recruit in the country. So.
Well, that does it.
I still can't believe I started 9-0. I'm impressed. Someone who knows nothing about it.
And
the first 9 games, I went 9-0.
Yeah, and overall, you've done great there. So
yeah.
Well, anyway, it's time to answer the trivia question this evening. The question, of course, was the Lions won their first division since 1993. The question was, who was the starting quarterback for the Lions in 1993?
Yeah.
So
you got me. You got me on this one.
I got nothing, Tim.
I was like 7, so I wouldn't have thought my 8. I was 6. No, I was 7. I wouldn't know this.
Well, actually, Johnster, he had the correct answer.
Oh wow.
Rodney Peete. Yeah, Rodney Peete was the starting quarterback for the Lions in 93. They finished with a record of 10-6, won the NFC Central Division before they started realigning the teams. However, they would lose in the wildcard playoffs against their division rival, the Green Bay Packers, by a score of 28-24. And I remember the very next year, Rodney Peete left Detroit, and he ended up playing with Dallas, being a backup to Troy Aikman after they had let go of Bernie Kosar.
So was he like their third string quarterback because they also had Jason Garrett that year?
Well, before they got Pete, that year Aikman got hurt. I want to say it was against the Giants. I can't remember. He was in a game. They knocked him down, and Aikman had to go out of the game because of concussion. The backup at the time was Jason Garrett. He led the Cowboys to a victory. But then the very next week, after Kozar was released by the Browns, they signed him. He stayed with the Cowboys for the rest of the year. Then he left to go to Miami. And I think that's when we got Rodney Peete from Detroit.
So it's like a fourth string quarterback, basically.
He was second string. He kept Jason Garrett on third string. So Johnston had the right answer there. So I'll give some points for Johnston for giving that one. But unfortunately for Flynn and Natalie,
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I love that line. I love that movie. I love that line, Wolf. But anyway,
I think now we have some unfinished business. I think we gotta reveal the results from all of the games.
What's that?
The third place match, the consolation rounds.
Yeah,
that's why we.
Yeah, we'll just. I guess we could just do a quick rundown of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Already presented the champion of our league.
Sure, we could go to them at the end too, in case the viewers missed the beginning part.
We'll just do the.
Yeah, we'll just
let's go down to the regular scoreboard so we can see it.
Okay, there we go here. So as mentioned, Lucas beat Dino by a score of 175.84 to 112.48. The winner's consolation ladder, I got the victory over Mr. Flynn, 144.78 to 129.66. Mr. Natali beat Adam Oliver by a score of 155.98 to 129.5. And the consolation ladder, it was David getting the win over Casey, 123.3 to 80.4. And the Georgia Crushers, that was Andrew St. Clair beat Alex Putnam by a score of 164.16 to 127.2. So those were pretty much the final matchups for our league. And once again, congratulations to Lucas for being our league champion. It was a great year for our league. And of course, as I say every year at this time, let's do it again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just because this was the last week of Fantasy Football Fever, we're not done. We're going to guide you through, even though it's not quote-unquote playoffs yet.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Well, Jim Morrow, we got news for you. We are going to be talking about that next week.
Yeah, we will next week. And I know that after Sunday, there may be at least one or two more head coaches that are going to get the pink slip.
Oh, yeah.
So next week, when we talk about our playoffs, I think we should go ahead and do a comparison of the coaches that have been fired compared to who we thought was going to be on the hot seat when we did that list last summer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I still have that, so.
We'll still talk about that. We'll talk about the playoff matchups and
and we could probably compare our original Super Bowl prediction to see if we wish to change it or make any changes if needed. I can't remember if we ever recorded that or we just wrote it down ourselves.
Yes, I recorded it. I have it on record here.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I obviously have to change mine. The team I picked to win it all is not even in the playoffs. Well, I obviously have to change mine. Mine was Bengals over the Eagles.
I I got my preseason picks written down somewhere. I just have to find it.
Yeah, I have them here.
So
yeah, might as well. Here, let's just review it for old time's sake. I already know mine is a bust.
Yes. So NFC East. I had Dallas. The two of you had Philly. We all had Detroit. We all had New Orleans. That's still possible. We all had San Francisco. In terms of the playoffs, I had the Eagles as a wild card, while both of you had Dallas. Still possible. Natalia and I had the Panthers in making the playoffs.
Jeez.
So while Tim had the Vikings, very
very slim.
And then I had the Seahawks. Natalia had the New York Football Giants, and Tim had the Atlanta Falcons as
jeez.
So in the AFC East, we all had Buffalo. Natalia and I had Cincinnati, while Tim had Pittsburgh. So we all had Jacksonville. We all had Kansas City winning their divisions. We all had the Jets as a playoff team. Both of you had Denver as a playoff team. That didn't work out. I had Cleveland. Told you they were making the playoffs. Tim had Cincy. I had Pittsburgh. Natalia had Miami. And none of us took the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Playoffs.
Wow.
And they were the best team in the league this year. So a championship Sunday. I had San Francisco over Dallas. Tim had the opposite, while Natalia had Philadelphia over San Francisco. In the AFC championship, so we I know Tim and I both have the Chiefs over the Buffalo Bills, and then the one thing I don't have is who you had Cincinnati beating on championship Sunday.
What, mine?
Yeah.
I might have written the Bills. I don't remember. I'm not sure if I still have my paper, my notes.
But
wait a minute. I'm gonna see if I have. I'm gonna see if I still recorded that. I don't remember if I did. Let me see.
Meanwhile, on the Super Bowl, I had the Chiefs over the 49ers. Tim had the Cowboys over the Chiefs, while Natalia had Cincinnati over those filthy chickens.
Okay, yeah, actually, I don't have my notes on that.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, hold on. Oh, I do have my notes. Let's see. NFC. Okay. Okay. My AFC Conference Championship was Chiefs versus the Bengals.
Yeah.
Chiefs Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously one of them isn't happening.
Right.
And the Bengals was my biggest bust of the season.
Yeah, well.
But I think all of us had the Bengals in the playoffs, right? Did all of us put the Bengals in the playoffs, or is it just me?
No, we all had to. I mean, we all had Cincinnati making the playoffs. But Tim and I had Cincinnati winning the division. But that was the one division I did not feel great about going into the season. So that's a big because I knew something was off in training camp with this Bengals team because with Joe Burrow's initial injury, because I think it was the calf strain, so that kept him preseason games. By the way, Joe Burrow has never played a preseason game before.
Oh, wow, interesting.
So that's because you have 1 year because of COVID, another because of an ACL recovery, the other two because of other injuries.
Right. Well, what a difference. Well, being just 17 weeks going into 18 weeks right now. And playoffs starting very soon. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, I got to tell you. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and put a close to this edition of Fantasy Football Fever. Thank all you guys for watching. For those of you playing in your championship matches in your league, make those decisions. Remember our starters and incentives for this week. They may help you right there. And don't forget about Hooked on Sports with John Flynn.
Yep.
Be sure to Be sure to look them up wherever you get your podcasts. Look for Hooked on Sports.
Yeah, and we have some behind the scenes videos we have a behind the scenes video of the podcast from Thursday, and there's an episode going up on Saturday morning, which I'm gonna be editing after this. So definitely want to just stick around for it.
All right. And thanks once again to our great commissioner, John Natale, for another great season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, and we got to do it again next year, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love this, but like we said, we will be back here next Friday night. We're going to talk the first round. We're going to look at the first round of the playoffs, Super Wild Card Weekend. There has been so many great, crazy moments in Wild Card Week history.
Mm-hmm.
Could there be more? There could be. So we'll be talking about that next week. We'll talk about the coaches that got their pink slips, and we'll have some other stuff too. So thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy week 18 of the NFL. Good luck in your championships and your leagues. And that's going to do it for us. For John Natale, for John Flynn, I'm Tim McClellan. Thanks for watching us. Enjoy the games. God bless you all. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.